All right, so they're talking about the cube root of 729. So what I want to write down is, the cube root, whoops, over here. They're telling me this, which is nice to know, by the way. The cube root of 729 is equal to 9. And then they're wondering, how much larger is the cube root of 729.6? I'll write this over here. The cube root of 729.6. Well, looking at it, it's certainly 9 point something. All right, I know that much. Now, again, they want me to estimate this using a linear approximation. So really what I'm going to write down, the delta f in the problem, right? With the understand that f of x is equal to the cube root of x. So the delta f in the problem, if I look at it, how much larger, I'd be writing down the cube root of 729.6 minus, this is how much larger is delta f business, the root of, the cube root of 729. Right? Now looking at that, I'm starting to realize I won't use linear approximations for it. So I'm going to write down what delta x is. And what's delta x going to be? 0.6. All right? The next thing I want to do is write down the derivative. And what's the derivative going to be? Well, I'm going to write this a little differently. This is x to the 1/3. So I'm going to say 1/3 x. Take 1 from 1/3, you get minus 2/3. I'm going to write that a little differently. I'm going to write it as 1. I'm going to write it as 3, the cube root of x, that thing being squared. All right? What I need to do now, f prime of x. I'm sorry, I already wrote that down. I need to do that again. I want to get rid of that. I just did that. I want to do that again. I want to do f prime at 729. Relatively simple. What do I get? 1, 3. I get the cube root of 729. Well, they gave that to me. That's 9. So it's going to be 9 squared. What do you get over there? 1. And then you get 3 times 81. And that's going to be 1. And 3 times 81 is 243. All right? I'm going to do my linear approximation now. The delta f. This is going to be approximately the same thing as, f prime of 729 times the delta x. Let's write this down. That's going to be 1 over 243. We just did that computation. And what's delta x? I'm going to write it as 6 over 10. All right, that's 0.6. So one says, why'd you do that? I prefer that as a decimal number. So I'm going to do some arithmetic here. And the one thing I want to do is just reduce this over here. This is going to be 3. I'm dividing by 2. And this is going to be 5. And 3 goes into 243 81 times. And what do you get? 1 over 5. And what does that give you? Gee, that gives you a number, doesn't it? 1. And 5 times 81 is 405. By the way, that's the answer I would write down. I don't like using decimals, but you could approximate that number, and that's not a problem. You could do that. You get this number over here, all right? On exams, though, you decide how you want to write your answers down, including you're writing down something like this over here and not doing the computation. Thank you.